Hello, everyone. I pray you're doing well. I just wanted to come to you this week and remind you, if you've forgotten, that God's grace is sufficient. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what's going through that head of yours, that God's grace is there for you and it is sufficient enough. It has everything in it that you need to get through this time in your life, that you need to get through the sunny, shiny times, through the gloomy, dark times of emotion and trial, through the dark times of bad choices and bad situations. God's grace is sufficient. And I wanted to share two verses with you, and they're found one in 1 Corinthians and the second one in 2 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 15:10, it reads, "But by the grace of God, I am what I am. And his grace toward me was not in vain. On the contrary, I worked harder than any of them, though it was not I, but the grace of God that is within me." The grace of God is there for you, and you are who you are because of God. And He does not want you to fail. He does not want you to give up. He does not want you to turn back. He is there to give you what you need. As Paul was saying, he said, hey, I realized that God's grace was there for me, and so I worked harder. So remember that God's grace is there for you. His provision is there for you. His desire goes beyond just thinking that He wants to do something for you. His desire moves on towards grace, and He does things. He favors you. He places things in your life, people in your life, circumstances in your life, so that you may be blessed. But He goes even a step further than that. He does more than just touch the things on the outward side of you. He touches that's in you. In His grace, with His grace, He begins to give you the desire, and He begins to enable you with the strength and the wisdom and the capability to do those things. So this is what Paul is talking about. He said, I am what I am because of God. God has placed these particular characteristics and this wisdom and all these things in me. And because of that, I am going to work my hardest to see the blessings of God, to begin to walk in the purpose of God. So in your life, there may be a lot going on, but remember what God has given you. Remember what God has put into you. In 2 Corinthians 9:8, it reads, "And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that you always have all sufficiency in all things, that you may have an abundance for every good work." He wants to give you an abundance. He wants to give you everything you need right now for what you're going through. And the thing about that is, when He gives it to us, we have to open up ourselves and receive it. I was talking to a lady earlier this week, and she was talking about how she had some emotional distress and struggle that she was going through. But as the years passed by and she dealt with this, she could always feel this desire, this thing within her that said there's better. And I believe that idea, that emotion, that thought that there's better for me, there's more for me, that is the grace of God. That is God's giving you His desire. He's showing you that I have something for you at the end of this. I want better for you. I want you in a place of peace and of joy and of triumph. I want these things for you. So when you feel that there's more out there, when you feel that I can overcome this, when you feel these things, that's God's grace. He's telling you, He's letting you foresee His desires for you for better. And so I just want to encourage you this week to open yourself up to receiving God's grace. He loves you. You don't have to do anything for it. He wants to give you what you need to get through this day, to get through this moment, to get through the rest of this year. He wants to give it to you. His grace abounds towards you. And so think about it. Bask in it. Receive God's grace for this season and here on out. And I would like to encourage you all that we just released another podcast episode, and it's called Don't Stop. Our guest, Tyler Feller, he is talking about his book and his experiences, but God has something for you. And it may be hard sometimes to get over those roadblocks and those the things that have happened in life, but God does have something on the other side of your pushing. So do not stop. I love you all, and I pray that this week is a blessed one for you. And if it hasn't been, that this is the moment that it turns around for you. Love you all. Bye-bye.